544 KTSM 915-544-5876 or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks so much for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or Twitch at Andrew J. Polk. Any of those names, any of those places, Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk, and on those platforms, you'll be able to find us as we continue our mission to discuss the things that affect us here in the Borderland, as we do every Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m., right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, up and at 'em in all of those places right now, or shortly, if you're still looking to tune in. But again, I say all these things not to neglect our traditional radio audience, which is absolutely the backbone of how we do this. We just want to make sure that people who are in all the variety of places are still included in the conversation, because that's the really important bit in my mind, is having it not just be a niche and echo chamber, God forbid that, but I mean, talking about the things that affect us here, of which we've got a decent amount already on the docket here for today. Some more stuff still kind of developing as we are looking at that possible, or anticipated rather, impact of the Omicron variant. You may have already gotten sick about hearing about that. I know I am. There have been some interesting court cases coming down affecting us here in this region, and some other notes coming from other states on this thing that might be foreshadowing some impact, or at least driving some of the impact. Anyway, we've already had some listeners talk about it, but that's being pushed for fourth special session of the Texas legislature is still very much in order here. So how all of that affects it and what that'll mean for us in the local area. Again, talking about all of this and a whole lot more, plus more local reporting going on in court cases as well, including ones that we've had discussion on in the past about things such as, gun rights, immigration, Mexico suing gun manufacturers, all that fun stuff. Some reporting going on in our local area that I want to dive into in just a little bit here. So however you're buckled in for us, we got another hour coming for you about all of these subjects here. Again, you can leave comments during the show over on the social pages, facebook.com/Talk El Paso being the main one anyway. It's the Thunderdome of comments where the Skeptic Society, or Squad as it gets called, lived, and more than welcome to leave it there. And then we'll take calls a little bit later in the hour. But so the one I wanted to start to hear, some interesting statewide focus going on, something that we've had brought up a couple of times here, but again, local reporting going on it right now over from KTEP here in town, and was then appearing in some statewide broadcasts as well, about that Mexican lawsuit in U.S. courts against gun manufacturers. And among other things, the case being mentioned here, or a case necessarily in the legal sense here, but a situation that did occur that where Juan Carlos Medina died near the Paso del Norte bridge after apparently trying to smuggle a couple of handguns into Mexico. So that being the kind of local hitches, being again, you can find that over on the KTEP website there. Going further and in detail, and in fact, some local reporters appearing on some statewide media about this, on this state of the case. And so this has been brought up a couple of times. Listeners have been keen to pay attention to that because, as anyone, at the very least, it's been very apparent to me because, having grown up in the area, I remember when they installed the whole no handgun signs on the bridges into Mexico, because there had been the occasional person who would accidentally find themselves there and then not so accidentally find themselves in jail for a period of time. It's long been known to me, and I feel like a lot of other people in towns, that is not available. But this is also a juxtaposition of a couple of topics that come up with the whole issue about, okay, sure, gun smuggling is bad, but what's the focus supposed to be here? And the interesting responses that are coming from both, the Mexican government, including the consul to Mexico here in the United States in the El Paso area, was an interesting consul general in El Paso, the correct title there, included in that, as well as what the actual official current administration response is, both from the interested parties as well as the administration itself, the current, Biden administration, asking, okay, sure, this might be, an important one, but why not focus on then, the driver of that? And this goes down to a few deep topics that we have talked about a lot on this program about, drivers of immigration, crime rates, and situations like that, because some of the reporting coming out that we're going to feature more on the show. I know I keep teasing it, but working on setting up those interviews so we can really dig into it from other local organizations studying those drivers of migration or immigration or illegal crossings, however you want to put it here. That is very top of mind for me anyway, in looking at these situations. This is, in a no uncertain way, contributing factor to that, because a lot of what gets put forth, you may have either heard in certain places or you can see it, frankly, in the region here, is that the violence that comes from the power and control of the cartels and the arms that they are able to put forth, often outstripping local authorities. There was that gun battle that basically took over a city, I can't remember which one offhand, and on the south coast of Mexico, that saw the local officials hilariously outgunned because it was almost not a competition. The amount of almost APCs, improvised APCs that the cartel was putting forth. I believe that was around, if I'm not mistaken, the capture of the son of El Chapo, but I might be mistaken, because it does seem to happen too often in a whole lot of ways down there, where in some cases it might be easier to describe certain reaches of the area as being more impromptu narco states than under any kind of federal control. But I digress. This suit being reported on here, and again, continuing on, trying to then say that the marketing, it does seem like an offshoot of other efforts that we've heard about related to more domestic issues in this country. But to a larger extent, one thing that I'm unsure about, they're seeking recompense in some way, or to stop the marketing of these weapons in such a way that then encourages their smuggling, I guess. The part that I'm really confused about is then what actual mechanism would they then seek? What would be the recompense? Just that you can't market them in our country anymore, which I don't think they are, because there's not much legal firearms marketing that happens in Mexico, because, well, you can't. There is one, and I literally mean one, legal gun store within the entire country of Mexico, in Mexico City, that is run by federal authorities. That's where you can go and get the legal one. So all of the rest of this, though estimates do put it in, including some of the reporting going on here, upwards of 75% come in from the U.S. here. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but I'm also really confused as to how this would actually then be workable, because unless they're actually going to then be seizing assets on this side, which comes up with a lot of issues here, as we have John Browson and Kevin Williams joining us over on the social pages. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but the local reporting on this would pique my interest and want me to bring this up. I know we've had others that have brought it up from time to time as well, so maybe we'll get into that here a little bit more. But coming up after the break here, which we are due to take right now, getting into some more of these issues, including, again, that whole special session, what also is going on at the national level that could absolutely be affecting your shopping season, and much more beyond that. Shopping season would be the entree, the appetizer, rather, to the entree of awfulness that could come from the lack of ability to govern happening at the national level. We'll get into those comments and that whole default fight happening oh so joyously again during this most wonderful time of the year. All that and more coming back after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Comments over on the social pages. Tune in, chime in there if you want to. We'll get the calls on the line here in a little bit later, as we do at the bottom of the hour. I got back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Clever Tea has a location now. If you haven't gone to visit them yet, it's at 230 North Copia. They got a nice mural on the outside of the building, looking like a mountainscape. It's hard to miss, just like I try not to miss out on drinking it, particularly leading up to these shows here, because it gives me that boost of energy to have an enthusiastic and interesting presentation, but also focus and clarity without jitteriness that I can get from most other things that I have tended to drink before this. I'm not even going to lie. But it's a locally made product, which is why I've tried it in the first place. But I stick around for the locally made products when it's then also good quality. It checks all these categories for me. Helps me out, locally made, and good stuff for you. So you can order it yourself online by visiting clevertea.com. That's KLEVRTEA, as in the stuff that you drink.com. And you can even get your own order going on to get it in boxes, make it yourself. I like it in the bottles that they have out in some local stores and at farmers markets that they're out usually on the weekends, probably a bit more coming up here in this holiday season. But get your order in, and when you find that order at clevertea.com, enter the code radio15 at checkout to get a discount on your next order. So that's clevertea.com, KLEVRTEA.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Most of your El Paso freeways looking pretty good right now. I-10 westbound, the latest update, I-10 west to Joe Battle from that collision and incident earlier this afternoon. Gateway West is now open, but I-10 West remains closed. All lanes of I-10 West, and the backup is to Horizon. There's a crash on North Loop Drive at Lee Trovino, blocking the east and west lanes on North Loop. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com.
Hey folks, this is Andrew J. Polk. I'm all about local, and El Paso-based Clever Tea is changing how to stay refreshed and focused in the Borderland and beyond, with a masterfully crafted blend of hand-picked oolong tea infused with crisp pineapple, creamy coconut, and more in every sip with just the right amount of sweetness. Find it in boxes and bottles at the Ground Street Market, CBD Vita, Upper Valley Mercantile, House of Hoops and Muscle Confusion Gym, and Cooking Time. Or order online and find special discounts at clevertea.com. That's KLEVRT.com.
It's open enrollment season, and when it comes to you and your family's health, you want the best care at the best price. That's where Altura HealthShare comes in. You'll have access to top quality medical providers and facilities, all within your budget. This open enrollment season, learn more about Altura HealthShare and its community of other like-minded, health-conscious individuals. Ready to find out more? Dial pound 250 on your cell phone and say My Share to learn more. That's pound 250 and then say the words
Mass Mutual knows that your finances can be an uncomfortable conversation.
Mark, we should really talk about our money.
Yep, we really should.
Like, we never talk about our savings.
No, we never talk about that. Or our assets.
Or our debt.
Yeah, we really should talk about our debt.
We need one of those financial plans.
One of those will make a difference.
We should talk about it.
We really should.
Talk to us about financial wellness today. Feel comfortable about tomorrow. Mass Mutual. Live Mutual.
Talk El Paso is going daily. Join host Andrew J. Polk weekdays at 4 with the Borderland's only live local talk radio show, breaking down the impact of the news and taking your calls. That's Talk El Paso, live Monday through Friday at 4, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Sponsorship and advertising opportunities are also available. To find out on how you can affordably reach an affluent and highly educated demographic, please call iHeartMedia at 915-351-5473. That's 915-351-5473.
Why should you volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I never thought that 5 minutes could make so much difference in the lives of two people, but it has.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the show throughout. Like I said, taking those calls a little bit later, probably to the end of this segment, as we normally do during the week. And we've got the comments going on over on the social pages. John Brazelton bringing up something actually I hadn't heard about that. Texas oil drillers find new underground aquifer near Eagle Pass called the Maverick Basin Aquifer. Be a boon to agriculture, amongst other things, just in the top of my mind there. But more water is not necessarily a bad thing, particularly as we're wondering how those supplies are going to go. Very happy we're positioned here in El Paso, where we have the bolsons, that they have the Waco bolson and the Masillo bolson, like a smaller aquifer, and therefore not getting drunk up by much of anyone else here. But a little bit of a niche topic and ability there. But if you think we get all our water from the Rio, go look at the Rio and see what it looks like and understand that that's an important thing for us in this region here. As well as have Calvin Williams chiming in over there. More tuning in as well. And again, calls a little bit later. A bunch of stuff we're talking about here. That just kind of befuddling suit going on by the state of Mexico, again, in United States courts on the issue of gun importation and smuggling, specifically about it being marketed towards them. But I don't get the end game there. If someone could explain that to me, because I've a lot of talk about the importance of it, about why it matters and what it could do, but the actual impact and what would actually a suit in that court do? I mean, are they just no longer going to be available in Mexico, which they currently aren't? I guess if they're just trying to put pain to the whole money thing, it just kind of confluences with a lot of other suits that end up being tied up into gun control, I think is what it comes down to, at least initially. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, getting to more of the issues going on here, did want to mention that just because it plays into what we have talked about, we don't usually chase the breaking news here, but that incident that happened this morning, actually, that went all the way from far east, including around Horizon City, actually originating in San Rosario, according to our news partners over at KFOX 14. Shooting reported got along Camino de la Rosa at that guy then fled from the area, ended up along the gateway near Horizon City, closing down traffic. So again, I'm hard pressed to say if there's an actual increase in overall absolute amounts of crime or even violent crime going on here, but the high profile incidents that end up impacting, not that they are unimpacting for the people immediately involved in them, but for the wider swath of all of our region, it just seems to be increasing, at least in my mentality, and it's of a concerning nature, and I'm hoping it's not a trend, but hopes and dreams and such are not necessarily most effective within real life unless action is taken upon them here. So why I wanted to mention it here. But otherwise, definitely things that are impacting things in our area include what the heck is going on at the national level with the the nice kick can down the road issue that we've been dealing with for, it feels like 6 months at least, probably longer, maybe even shorter, but it feels like it's for that long here with the whole debt ceiling things and all of that stuff. That fight just continuing on. I'm not saying that there aren't important issues involved in here, but it's kind of like a base level. If you're going to be involved at that level of government, you should know what the heck you're doing and be able to actually do the main job, the primary job, that is of making sure the wheels don't fall off for no reason in all of this. So we got, our delightful major elected officials, the House, Senate majority and minority leaders bickering back and forth about this. That is just the most fun with, of course, Chuck Schumer, Senate majority leader, saying that it's of great concern.
We have not come to an agreement. Anyone who says there is an agreement is not correct. But I think that what we need to do is come up with an agreement that doesn't risk the full faith and credit of the United States.
The phrase that I never knew I learned to hate so much when I first heard it years ago about the debt ceiling, continuing to come up here with more funding bills coming up. So the combined whammy specter here, and why the stakes are high about both the debt ceiling and then potential lack of funding, government shutdown, and then default on the debt here, which would not be a good thing for anyone involved. Yeah, and going a bit more into that, Schumer did, about the specter of actual shutdown, whether debt ceiling and default or not can be avoided.
By the end of the week, both parties must come to an agreement for funding the government and avoiding a needless shutdown. With so many critical issues to be addressed before the end of the year, the last thing the American family needs right now is a shutdown.
I'm going to tend to agree with the idea of that, but of course there's a whole lot more that goes into it than just saying, well, this will be bad, because I'm going to be hard-pressed to say that there's been much good faith discussion happening on this without a whole lot of other political priorities being pulled into it, frankly, from both sides. But the fact that this is, it's just kind of clown shoes stuff to me. I can't believe that we're really having to deal with this. But further on, we did have McConnell saying that, Mitch McConnell, the Senate minority leader, saying that, sure, these are important things, but he's not buying the default risk.
The government will not default, as it never has. And second, Majority Leader and I have been having discussions about the way forward.
So discussions, way forward, sure, but if we could solve this for even a minute and then not have to deal with it for longer than that would be a good thing, because this is just tiresome every time it comes up, with waving the banner of potential impacts coming from all of this, particularly during this season when we're supposedly supposed to be looking at economic recovery. This is not the kind of stuff that you want to be seeing out of that level of government here. Whatever you may think about what the mission on purpose should be behind federal government, the baseline in my mind would be generally stability, as in stable expectations about what's going to be happening, because this constant threat of the floor dropping out is not great for any level you're looking at here. I don't really care what your political perspective is. That's not how this is supposed to work, and not really facilitating anything else working, because if businesses can't make expectations, if you or I don't know, well, is the purchasing power just going to plummet if we deal with this? And that is further a concern McConnell is going into when it comes to the whole specter of inflation, going into that nice little transitory phrase we were talking about yesterday, and how, yeah, that might not really apply anymore.
Inflation is not transitory. It's going forward. The principal driver of that inflation is the American Rescue Package passed on a totally partisan basis earlier this year.
So a lot of stumps being beaten and drummed on as part of all of these speeches here. But again, I just really like it if they would stop playing political football with the expectations that we can have of what will be happening going into the new year, and if it'll be a Merry Christmas or not, based on all the chicanery. One other thing I want to mention it at the top of the show here about the Omicron variant. I know that I'm sick of hearing about it already, supposedly now having shown up on our shores here, being reported by the federal government a little bit earlier today. But one interesting development that we also have over on our website, ktsmradio.com, that we have an expansion of some of the blocking of the vaccine mandates that the Louisiana Western District Judge Terry Dodry said that Tuesday that the mandate's constitutionality is questionable since it didn't come from Congress. So this would be the expanded part of the mandate, because that directly under the executive branch, that not really subsequent to that, but all the rest of the expansion, including the mandate for healthcare workers and government contractors, those not directly employed by, rather under contract with the federal government executive branch, most specifically. Coming into question with parts of that, as there have been other court challenges going forth with all of the issues involved within the Health and Human Services, OSHA regulations about the testing or vaccination status being required going forward. This is what has been driving that conversation about the potential for yet another Texas legislative session, really cementing this as the year of the Texas legislative, the never-ending year of the Texas legislative session would be the best way to put it, frankly, because it usually does not go on this long. But I think another part driving that conversation has been the stance being taken by the state government over in Florida, which I take some issue with, but a statement by Florida Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez talking about the potential future and how they're looking at handling it, both in contravention and not wanting to go along with what the administration is talking about, but more also including just how to handle it into the future.
The important part of being free and being focused on actual science, not the science that's convenient for some narratives, is the fact that we've seen very little correlation between lockdowns and all those other mitigation methods.
So talking about both lockdowns, and they're also focused very much on some of the other impacts coming out of it, such as the mandates and the testing and all that kind of fun stuff here. So, I mean, I think that the El Paso model is the way we need to go forward with it, that we have seen a populace that is engaged and dealing with the issue, making their own individual choices, because we didn't even necessarily see those, again, not the stick, but carrot methods of like, hey, sign up and go get it and you'll get free stuff here. We're just individual people making the choices, and I think we're reaping the rewards of that, which is the way I think this needs to work. And since there has been some increased reporting in our area about concerns about spread, I've seen maybe more people wearing masks than not in certain areas when I've gone out. And I think that's the way this needs to work. Ideally would work, but maybe won't work everywhere else. Seems to be working for our area of individual people making their individual choices, which is how a free and informed society is supposed to work in my mind. Anyway, All right, coming up on the need for a break here right now. Coming back from the break, get into more of those comments and more of the calls on the line as well. Open up those phone lines to the end of the hour here. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff that affects us here in the Borderland. We'll get to that after the break here. More Talk El Paso. Speaking of your health, it's more important than ever to stay informed about the issues that can affect you, your family, friends, loved ones, and making decisions in this complicated medical environment. Being a smart consumer of medical services when you need it as well. All of these are important subjects regardless of the time, season, or overall situation. And one thing you can do to stay informed about all of this is by tuning in to the Medical Hackers with Dr. Sandeep Rao every Saturday at noon right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. He's a board-certified vascular interventionalist and gets into some of the news of the day, some of the emerging currents, as well as latest medical innovations to help you stay on top of and control of your health. Navigating our complex medical system with healthcare hacks in the positive sense, in the life hack kind of sense of the word there, of knowing, the things that if you don't know, you don't know, and how to navigate it, deal with it, and just be a smart and informed consumer in this very important arena of life. So that's Saturdays at noon here on News Radio 690 KTSM, going into this week, including topics such as thermography, which we've talked about. But you can even email your own questions to him ahead of future shows by emailing rao@medicalhackers.com, RAO@medicalhackers.com. That's his last name. And again, tune in Saturdays at noon, right after the El Paso History Radio Show, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. A police chase and shooting this morning has caused westbound along I-10 near Joe Battle. Around 11 this morning, El Paso police and emergency radio traffic indicated a shooting happened in San Luisario along Camino de la Rosa Street. Reports indicated someone had carjacked a vehicle and was spotted along Gateway West near Horizon City and Eastlake. At 11:35, emergency radio traffic indicated a person was in custody at I-10 near Joe Battle. All lanes on I-10 West between Joe Battle and Eastlake are now closed until further notice. And 3 people are dead after a crash on North Loop and Lee Trovino in El Paso's Lower Valley this afternoon. A TechSpot camera shows a semi-truck and a car with some damage. Police and EMS crews appeared to be on the scene blocking the intersection. We should know more about the circumstances of this deadly collision by the time our early evening newscast airs at 5. I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
A portion of the I-10 westbound continues to be closed this afternoon due to that earlier incident. I-10 west at Joe Battle is where the original incident was, and I-10 west continues to be closed. Gateway West is open, though, and all traffic is exiting at exit 35. There's a crash on North Loop Drive at Lee Trovino, blocking the east and west lanes on North Loop. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. Been kind of a chilly day today with plenty of cloud cover, but tonight we should see some clearing and another cold night. Now, as we get closer to Friday, we can expect even warmer temperatures and possible record warmth. So Mother Nature's still dealing some very warm and dry conditions. There still looks to be possibly, though, some changes with the return of some winds and maybe some rain and cooler air for the weekend.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's breakfast biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Thank you for your service. If you're a veteran and Medicare eligible, Advocate Health Advisors can help you get all the benefits you qualify for. They are highly trained in the fusion of Medicare and military benefits and represent a variety of plans in the greater El Paso and surrounding areas. You may qualify for additional benefits such as dental, vision, hearing, transportation, and more. They can help you with a no-cost, no-obligation review. To learn how you qualify, please contact Eric Lowenberg at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Radio advertising can connect your business with holiday shoppers wherever they go. Use iHeart Ad Builder to create an affordable custom radio ad right on your phone. Just click, listen, approve, then hear it on the radio. Create your customized ad today at iHeartAdBuilder.com.
Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com. This report is sponsored by Audible.
Veterans, are you planning to file a VA disability claim? Get ready for a better way to file. The Decision Ready Claim Program gets you a decision within 30 days after it's submitted. That's just 30 days for the benefits and services you've earned. Talk to your accredited representative or go to www.benefits.va.gov/DRC to learn more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.
There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at ktsmradio.com. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the social pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, similar under YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, which is Andrew J. Polk, but also got that name over there on most of those platforms here. So you can find us in a variety of ways. Comment, just tune in. We got a lot of people content to sit back and listen to what are some of the big stories of the day affecting our region, from the national news all the way down to the local level. We're always looking at a lot of topics here, so if you're along for the ride, thanks for joining us and doing so. I do have to mention a couple of our show sponsors here. Talk El Paso, brought to you in part by Monterey Asset Management. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, consider investing in real estate. Monterey manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. Check out their new website, m1ep.com. To learn about the many benefits of long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call Certified Property Manager Ray at 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549. And by Upper Valley Urgent Care Center, 121 East Red Road. They're your go-to resource, the one that I trust anyway, when it comes to those day disruptors, those things that stop you in your tracks and leave you wondering what to do. They have the availability for you 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with fast and friendly 5-star medical treatment, minor medical emergencies, all the way up to x-ray capabilities. Their 15th anniversary being celebrated this fall, and they are a VA-authorized urgent care provider, which has been, as members of our audience have mentioned, an important factor for them. So again, 121 East Red Road, 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Upper Valley Urgent Care Center. Thank you to our sponsors. Please support them as they support us on our mission to continue having live local talk radio here in the Borderland here. So some more chiming in here. John Brownson with his perspective on the debt ceiling issues here. And again, taking those calls to the end of the hour, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. But John Brazelton going into his perspective, saying the national debt ceiling helps control Democrats' spending at a higher debt ceiling. The government spending will add trillions of national debt each year. And so saying that, correct, the Democrats do control the U.S. Senate and can raise the national debt ceiling without any Republican support. That has been a point that Mitch McConnell has been making on a variety of points here through the process called reconciliation. And to my understanding, that they're already looking at reconciliation for the whole Build Back Better bill to add it as a budget expense that kind of relies on the parliamentarian. It's a weird process that, in my having paid attention to the federal government and its various budgets over the years, was not used as extensively, or at least focused on as extensively as it has been right now. So do believe there are some limits on how often it can be used, if I'm not mistaken there. So not sure that could entirely be done. The whole 50+1 situation that we do have in the Senate definitely complicates things and makes this focus on the upcoming elections very important indeed. But, I mean, saying that it's just a Democrat control on spending is a misnomer in a couple of ways for me. It deals with existing spending. This is not about what new budgets will add. I mean, eventually those could add to it, which is why when there have been conversations about, okay, if we're going to raise the debt ceiling, let's see about lessening spending in other ways so we don't have to do this again, which makes a certain kind of sense. But there's also economic theories out there that essentially it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't affect the faith and confidence of the actual economy of the United States, which is what establishes the value of the dollar. If you're at all confused about it, there is no gold bar or amount of precious metals sitting anywhere that backs up the value of each piece of money that you hold. It is literally the faith and confidence in the United States government that issues that currency. So for some people out there, that is the ultimate arbiter of what can be done with budgets and debt ceilings and otherwise, and everything else is just window dressing. That gets a little bit too close to brinkmanship, that nothing matters till we hit that, because frankly, if we've seen how confidence affects markets in the past with fun things like, stock market crashes in previous generations, you have the faith and confidence right up until you don't, and then it's all gone. So, I mean, there's plenty of discussion and debate to be had about that. So we'll get into those by getting into the phone calls. Again, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. As we do right now, have Andrew on the west side on the line here with us. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to comment about the lawsuit by Mexico against American gun manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, from what I've been researching, Mexico has no standing, first of all. They need to go through diplomatic channels to try to resolve this. Second of all, there is a law that was passed back in October of 2005, signed by George W. Bush into law, the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And basically, you can't sue gun manufacturers or their distributors or dealers for, selling legally selling a product that is lawful. So basically, I don't think they have any standing. Number two, these lawyers that took on this lawsuit, believe me, they're not doing it on a contingency plan. They're getting paid by the Mexican government, and guess who gives Mexico billions of dollars a year in economic aid? And one of the other points I wanted to make, filing it in the Boston area. Mm-hmm. Most of those judges on the federal bench were appointed by Obama. What Mexico needs to do is clean up their own act, pay their police officers more, because I sure as heck would not be a police officer in Juarez working for $600 a month. Now, if you're a federale, it's about $1,600 a month, and whatever mordidas you could get. Oops. There, I said it, as Mark Levin says. But anyway, have a good evening and take care.
No, sure thing. Thank you for those points there. I mean, there's been some aggrandizing of those situations of law enforcement south of the border in various movies that I take issue with, but it's an undeniable fact that the mordida is a thing. Like, if it's the dirty little secret, it's the worst freaking kept secret that we've got when it comes to that situation now, isn't it? I mean, there have been documented examples of whole police forces walking off the job once either A, threats got too bad, or B, corruption investigations intensified, and leaving communities essentially in a self-defense standpoint and having to set up like checkpoints, roadblocks to then keep it from that vacuum being filled by a cartel. There's a lot of bad situations that happened involving all of this, and I would love to see Mexican government in general. And, I've visited Mexico. I've gone to some beautiful places, met some wonderful people, and been in safe places, but there's a whole lot of places that don't fit that when it comes to this. And when you have those kind of places that are left to fester with this issue, you end up with this. Now, obviously, there are issues that involve the whole cross-border movement. I mean, drugs moving north, guns and money moving south. That whole situation and the appetite that essentially causes most of this, because if there wasn't the insatiable appetite for Americans for these kind of illicit drugs, it's very arguable that this would never have started that way. But I think this needs to be tackled from both ends then. There's a saying that, no, let's do whatever we're going to do. And the fact that it is progressing in Boston, again, the standing issues, how this all works is a little bit baffling to me. And I haven't gotten a real clear answer in what I've looked up on this here, because those would be the issues that come to my mind. But it still seems to be progressing, which just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I'm not sure. It would be a cork in the increasing crack in the dam is what comes to my mind here, and why we definitely want to keep talking about these subjects here. We're a little bit long here on this discussion because we got to take that next break already here, but going back from the break, we'll get to more of those comments and calls on the line. Again, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. mentioned it a little bit earlier, but thermography is another tool in your arsenal, another way to help you stay on top of, maintain, and track your health. And that's why Therapeutics and Thermography Inc. is offering it once again in town as, again, another way to help you understand what is going on inside your own body and take appropriate action on it. They are offering their services at 935 Sunland Park Drive inside Biometrics, which is just west of I-10 in Sunland Park there at the big blue sign. But they are continuing to also offer their $50 off all breast thermograms benefit through the end of the year, which means you can claim your own thermogram to help treat and will detect and figure out what you need to do to treat potential breast cancer. Continuing that through the end of the year, and so you can give them a call at 915-401-4053. That's 915-401-4053, or find them online at elpasothermography.com. That's El Paso, THERMOGRAPHY.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
A portion of the I-10 westbound continues to be closed this afternoon due to that earlier incident. I-10 west of Joe Battle is where the original incident was, and I-10 west continues to be closed. Gateway West is open, though, and all traffic is exiting at exit 35. There's a crash on North Loop Drive at Lee Trovino, blocking the east and west lanes on North Loop. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit Sandwich. Just $1. Wendy's knows a better breakfast starts with a better biscuit. That's why you can get a hot and buttery Wendy's Breakfast Biscuit with bacon or sausage, fresh cracked egg, and cheese for just $1. Get your Wendy's Buck Biscuit Sandwich today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's.
From MSNBC Films comes the story of visionary French artist J.R.
It's not only about the art, it's about the people. Art can go places, beyond laws, beyond rules, beyond borders. It's something that we the people own.
From Oscar-winning producers Brian Grazer and Ron Howard, the world television premiere of Paper and Glue, Friday, December 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC and in select theaters now.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
Talk El Paso, airing weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, focused on local businesses, local politics, local impacts of the day's news. Brought to you in part by Thrive 915 Food Fest. Join the conversation Monday through Friday at 4, and let's talk El Paso.
Audible is the best place to listen for everything you're into, from comedy and motivation to popular podcasts and best-selling audiobooks. Right now, take advantage of a special holiday offer and save 60% on your first 3 months. Learn more and sign up at audible.com.
Monterey Asset Management, superior multifamily property management services citywide.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
You need to know what's going on.
News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. A lot of ways to be involved with the program, including by calling in. We'll squeeze in what we can before the end of the program here to 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of stuff we're talking about here today, stuff happening right in our region, affecting this region, and a lot of others, particularly at the federal level. But a lot of stuff we talk about in the coming weeks here, including more about some of the contributing factors to these current situations, particularly the immigration issues, here. Haven't seen anything about that whole reinstatement of the migrant protection protocols, MPP, so-called remain in Mexico policy here. So that's something maybe this week. They said soon. I was forecasting this week. We're supposed to have done it by the end of the month here, which we are, of course, in the start of December. But we'll get into that and a whole lot more here, including the local study happening into those contributing factors in future shows here. Again, another way you can interact with the show, besides leaving the comments, calling in, is also by leaving a pound 250 call, which we had a couple people do here. And the way you do that is by dialing pound 250 on your cell phone, literally pound 250, those 4 symbols. Calling it like it was a phone number, has to be a mobile device for that, and then saying the keyword Talk El Paso, and can leave your own comment, such as this.
This is Messiah Frankie. Oh, I got some good news to share today. Out there in the beautiful state of Colorado, in a particular area, this local newspaper just slam dunked the heck out of that lurid Blue Blart, whatever her name is. That's a start. That's what they need to do. Just pile on these creeps, these nut jobs. Not so much her, but the whack jobs that even voted for in office in the first place. And then the second one, that conservative gal, Nancy Mace. God bless her. She's a smart, regular, thinking conservative. And she got in the face of that nut job from Georgia, Muggery, Fuggery, Greenblatt. Oh boy. That's what they need to do. Need to smack down all these nut job conservatives and let them know that they are the ridiculous representation of a human ever.
I think he's referring to Lauren Boebert there of Colorado, but it can be a little bit hard to tell sometimes. Again, if you want to leave your own comment, as we did have some others do, particularly on this kind of commentary here, and we have some simple rules with how we deal with these things. If we want to leave a written statement, that's one of the ways to do it, but also generally don't allow impersonation. So this one kind of towed the line here, but I find it to be more probative than prejudicial, to use a not necessarily terrifically applicable legal term here, but had another call come in from that same way.
This is not Fascist Frank, the Marxist from Mathia, and I want to talk about other people and use my First Amendment rights to belittle, befuddle, and demeanor other people so as to prevent them from using their First Amendment rights, showing how fascism really works, demanding my rights but doing the best to stop free speech of others. Being a member of the Donkey Party, I want to show just how big a jackass I can be. This is not Fascist Frank, the Marxist from Mathia, signing off.
So this pretty much toes the line, but I decided to allow it this one in because not Frankie, being clear there, even if it was maybe impersonating a style. But also, I think there's a couple of misconceptions about how free speech works, and fascism, for that matter, kind of rolled up in this. Free speech is the ability to say whatever the heck you want, but it doesn't mean that you're then free from people then saying that they disagree with that. That's a pretty common one, frankly, here. So freedom of speech does not mean freedom from criticism. If someone is stopping you, saying that you are prohibited or there will be penalties on you from saying certain things, that's when we start getting into it. And that's why we have the policies we have in place on this program that will take calls and deal with it in the way we do to not have that in place. So otherwise, just call in as yourself next time. We're glad to have the discussion here. All right, trying to get to a couple calls before the end of the show here. We do have Art in the Mission Valley right now there. Art, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm. What's on your mind?
I just want to mention the hypocrisy of the Biden administration on banning those African countries, and then spending a whole bunch of money in the biggest airports on monitoring the incoming travelers coming in from different parts of the world. When we have open borders and there's no vetting, and we're letting people with COVID, tuberculosis, and all kinds of disease, and just letting them loose all over the country. So it doesn't make sense at all.
I mean, that is a fair point there about the control or lack thereof is along many parts of the southern border here. I mean, the policy that has been in place up to this point and why they're supposed to then return to, again, that remain in Mexico so-called policy is that Title 42 has just been an expulsion that has not been nearly as absolute as was originally advertised, frankly, here. And we see plenty of issues coming along with that here. But, yeah, giving them the focus and then the work on mandates here. We've had some other callers say that, yeah, the idea of then requiring screenings and vaccinations potentially for those coming in this manner, if they then want to stay here, might make more sense considering we're considering that for our own, the people who already live here kind of situation. So it's a little bit, I have a lot of issues with it, is the simple way I can say it in the time we've got left.
Yeah, I also have a lot of issues, and everybody's in denial, and we know what's going on. More votes for the Democratic Party, and that's basically it.
All right. Well, thank you for that point and that call there. I think we'll have to leave it there for today because we're about out of time here for this program here. So we'll do it again tomorrow here, 4 to 5 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM because there's always more to talk about, more that affects us here in this region. And we'll certainly get to these issues. So, yeah, if you want to leave your own pound 250 calls, more than welcome to ahead of our next program. Got a rough cutoff of like a half hour before we get to that next one here. So thank everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, be a part of the show here today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Again, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. A lot of topics to be discussed and a lot of stuff we try to get to. Y'all would help make the show what it is, so I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, see you tomorrow. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road there, and have a great evening, y'all. We'll do it again. With another Medicare moment with Eric with Advocate Health Advisors now. Is there a lot of confusion with the VA and Medicare working together?
Unfortunately, there is, due to the misconception that Medicare benefits negatively affect your VA health care. Almost 60% of veterans aren't enrolled in their VA benefits. And what we do is we help them to coordinate these two. We partner with local certified veteran service officers to get veterans the expertise they need on how to navigate their health benefits through the VA. Then we provide options and choices to add a complementary Medicare plan to that.
So for more info about this, call Eric, your local advisor, wherever you're hearing this broadcast at 1-800-876-0214. That's 1-800-876-0214.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
The I-10 westbound at Joe Battle, that is still closed. I-10 westbound continues to be closed. The backup is up to Horizon, and all traffic is exiting at exit 35. And just a reminder, some El Paso roadwork closures this week until early afternoon. I-10 westbound Paisano on-ramps and westbound Paisano exit ramps are closed until 3 o'clock every afternoon this week. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Want to know what I like